really don't know anything about sports.
Yeah.
People get very angry when I say, like, I don't really like sports. They're like, oh, I get it. You don't like sports. And I go, that is nothing compared to how much I have to hear about sports.
Exactly.
Like, the one time I'm like, I don't get sports. You're like, oh, we're such a sports culture. People get so mad.
What about bowling?
Well, that's an entirely different
You just
story.
signed a bowling ball.
I did. Well, I grew up in the Pro Bowler store. My dad was my dad's in the Hall. My dad's in the Hall of Fame. So
What's his name?
His name was Billy Hardwick.
Billy Hart.
Yeah. He was in the Pro Bowling Hall of Fame. I grew up on the Pro Bowlers tour.
Did you travel with him?
I did. Yeah,
Oh,
I did.
And did we see you in the background on
I was in the
ABC?
yes
On ABC, the half hour.
the Wide World. The bowl. I was named after the commentator Chris Schenkel.
Really?
Yes.
I remember Chris Schenkel.
Yes.
Oh my God.
But who's the? I don't remember your dad's name. There was some guy that professional bowler that was always on that show.
Earl Anthony.
Earl Anthony.
That you watched in the '70s.
Was that your dad's nemesis?
No. Well, because my dad was like 61 to 77, I think.
Oh.
77, 78.
Yeah.
So he Earl Anthony was 70s. My dad was more 60s.
Gina was just showing me a picture of him. He looks like a bowler in
He's
the
got
60s.
a good stance.
Oh, which
He's
picture?
got the hair. He's got the
Yeah.
that kind of beta hair.
Yeah. In the
big
60s,
beard.
it was all slicked back, and they looked really cool. And in the 70s, bowlers started looking like what you think of bowlers looking like.
So you're a bowler as well.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I don't have as much time to bowl anymore, but just because I'm a workaholic, so I created a show about bowling. I made a bowling show on YouTube that just became a series at AMC.
Oh yeah.
So it's a celebrity bowling match where you
I read about that.
Yeah. So we bowled against the Mad Men cast and the Breaking Bad cast and Conan O'Brien and Fallon and the Mythbusters and.
Are there when you bowl against people like that? Are any of them good bowlers?
Some of them are, because there's what I call there's a bowling belt in the middle of the United States, and it seems to follow like right around where the Mississippi River is.
Yep.
So you get this strip all the way down the middle of the country, where there are these industrial towns, and bowling is it's like. These are places where people could take bowling in high school.
Yeah.
And so. You have guys like a couple of the Mad Men guys, or Steve Young, who plays Glenn on The Walking Dead. He shot 204 when I bowled against him. So there's a couple of really good bowlers out there.
But you beat them.
Yeah.
You beat them.
I'm not fun to go
Yeah.
bowling. I suck.
Does your girlfriend bowl
No, she doesn't, and she does not enjoy going bowling with me.
or hearing about bowling?
Doesn't really. No, because I take it very seriously. I got my own ball. I got my shoes.
How many balls do you have?
Sir.
Sorry.
16-pound balls. How do you hold your pants up? I do have. Well, ironically, I have two. I've got the skull ball that you were talking about, the Janine Garofalo ball from Mystery Man. I've got a skull ball.
I wanted that so badly.
Get one.
You can get one.
Well, it was about 10 years ago when we did the Bert's Tiki Lounge Bowling League, and I was shopping for a bowling ball, and I got my Spider-Man one. I couldn't find it at the time.
They still make them. They still make them.
It's never too late to buy
I'm
it.
gonna
The internet! To the internet!
Damn
Quick!
it. All right.
And then what? Do you just have like a black ball?
No, it's sort of a light greenish color.
Okay. Well, let's just not.
Let's not.
Let's just-
Yeah. Because it's horribly infected. Is that what we were going for?
Yeah,
Is that the bit we were going for?
It was there. It was there, but we don't have to do it.
Oh,
Blue
all right.
ball, yeah.
Yeah, we could.
Now I have not seen your stand up.
You son of a bitch!
He doesn't
How
know.
dare you!
Well, it's because I've been trying to plow through all of the other stuff.
Oh yes, of course.
Let me ask you about that.
Yes, sir.
You were just a radio guy like us.
I worked for MTV first, and then I started working at K-Rock. Yeah, I started working K-Rock in LA.
But then something. How do you think this happened that you now have this empire, this Nerdist empire, kind of? That's really interesting to me. How did that all happen?
I've been working in the entertainment business for a really long time, and the entertainment business is not a very forgiving or kind business.
Yeah.
And I think at a certain point, I realized that I was just trying to survive, and so I would take any job that came along. And so I basically was feeling bad about not getting jobs that I didn't even want. And I don't know, I just sort of snapped and I said, well, I'm only gonna, these are the things that I care about. They happen to be in what would be considered the classic nerd sector of things like technology and science and sci-fi. And so I said, I'm only gonna, because I have hosting experience and stand-up experience, I'm only gonna apply those to this area of expertise. So that's what I did, and it weirdly gave my career and a lot of focus. And then when you're pursuing things that you care about, you work harder and you don't ever stop. Yeah. And so I think that's what it was. I just got really excited. And to me, one of my favorite games when I was growing up was a game called SimCity, where you would basically, it's an old
you create a
PC
world.
game.
Yeah.
You would create a world, and then you'd build a little town, another little town. You connect them by a railroad. You put it in an airport. People come in and populate it. And so I love those kind of simulators. And so I realized that's what I was kind of doing with work. It's like, I built a little thing over here, a little podcast, a little website, little video show, time all together. Like it was kind of about the game of that. Got really excited.
It's a great model, and I mean it seems to, and people kind of copy it, and I think, well, as my son says, he thinks it's the future of the future of entertainment.
The future.
It's you're living in it now, which I think is.
Well, we're at a very interesting time because I don't know. There's this huge paradigm shift with what platforms are like. Television is sort of morphing into digital content, and podcasts are sort of. Radio's going to be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But
people. I just did a show on NPR where they said, we're going to talk about the future of radio. Is it going to die? I said, no, it's not going to die. It's going to be fine.
I feel like he was just patting us on the head.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be fun. What a terrible question to ask you. Yeah. Is your career going to die?
Yeah.
No. What? Please.
Have you heard something?
What do you know?
Did you talk to my boss? Chris Hardwick in town for Wise Guys. You had a show last night.
I did.
2 tonight and 2 tomorrow. WiseGuysComedy.com.
Yes, sir.
Out at West Valley. For people who haven't seen your stand-up.
Like Bill.
Yeah.
Just say for me.
You jerk.
It's because I am the conduit for the many people out there like me. Gina's been to every one of your shows.
I've heard his stand-up.
I've heard your stand-up.
I'll tell you something. You guys have a major pass as far as I'm concerned because the year that I worked morning, because I worked overnight. I worked overnights in radio for a few years, and then I did a morning show for a year, and that is brutal. That is a brutal schedule. You get up when it's dark.
So you know why I don't go to comedy clubs.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm surprised you have the energy to do anything else because you think you go, radio, it's only like 3 or 4 hours in the morning, and then you forget no, you got to come in an hour early, you got to prep, you got to do post show. Like it really is. By the time you've had the end of your 8 or 9 hour day, people are having lunch, and you're ready to fall over. So
because people say to me, really, a cocktail at 2 in the afternoon, and I say, you don't understand. This is my 6 o'clock. In your stand-up, you talk about pretty serious stuff sometimes, don't you?
Sometimes. Lately, I have been. Well, now it's going to sound not funny. It's a tragedy show.
We'll get through.
But that's what comedy is. It's sort of like taking horrible things and trying to find what's human about them and put in a wiener joke. But see
More than
earlier,
one, I hope.
several blue balls.
Yeah.
But my dad died last year, and so I've been talking about it. I've been writing about it, and it was helpful for me. And I think it also helps people feel like that they'll be okay, that they can, some horrible things happen, but you get through them. So
you don't do wiener jokes about your dead dad, do you?
I do, but he loved them.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was a bowler, Gina.
Come on. He was made of wiener jokes.
He's heard them all.
He's heard them all.
So your stand-up is generally all about what's going on with your life.
Lately, but it is, there is this giant piece of it that's all about, nerd stuff because that's my world, and then this emerging piece about, my dad and then also just going to Comic-Cons and that. I mean, it really is, and my set's very conversational. I talk to the crowd a lot. So
Now, somebody asked in the chat room, but I'll repeat it, Gina, so that a lot of people can hear about it.
That would be helpful.
If you're doing, you usually do after-show meet and greets and stuff with everybody, right?
we usually do, and what's the problem that's been happening lately is that, which is the kind of nice luxury problem, is that more people are coming out to shows, and so it was starting to create these kind of jackknife problems at the comedy clubs because when you have 2 shows a night, they have to turn the room around really fast. They have to get everyone out and then get everyone in for the next show, and so the shows were starting late, and it was kind of getting to be a problem for the for the staff to set up. So it might be a little difficult to do it this time. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick. It just it could be it can be a little tough.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were also going late enough that the staff is just sitting there waiting to go home.
like to go home.
Yeah, and so it's sort of like I'm trying to make everyone. I always try to make everybody happy. So I'm trying.
Are you everybody I've ever talked to about you who's met you says, he's just a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy.
You're famous
Those
enough
people
now.
are dicks.
No, you're famous enough now. You can be a dick.
Can I be now?
Yeah, I think.
Do I
think
get
you're
that?
allowed now.
Do I get that right?
And I listen to your podcast, and I listen to you interview people. I say, he comes across as just this really nice guy interviewing people. Do you have to work at that?
Well, that's funny. I think you do kind of have to work at not, but because in the sense that what happens where you work a lot and you get tired.
Yeah.
Right. So you get tired, and so you do have to make sure that your guard doesn't drop down, and you're not just like, I was only half listening. What? So you really not that I'm saying that you guys have ever had to do that.
Not being a dick is a full-time job for me.
But I mean, I want people to feel good about stuff. I want them to feel happy and supported, and so that's important to me. So I do make an effort to make sure that people feel good. I mean, the podcast is really fun, and it's but it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to talk to someone for an hour and a half, nonstop, and it's someone you don't really know at all.
Yeah.
And you're just trying, just go have coffee with someone and just see how many parts of the conversation go, so what do you, but making sure that there aren't those moments, it takes a lot of energy.
How's your coffee?
Is it good? Yeah.
Hey,
Coffee's weird, huh?
We have to take a break. I understand you can come back in a little bit if you want to.
Possible.
Great.
That would be really good. I want to ask you about nerds
Okay.
and what it is to be a nerd. And
Maybe you should just talk to your son.
Yeah.
For what?
I'd rather not. I'd rather.
That's weird. He said the same thing.
I'd rather not. We have that kind of relationship where we just don't talk.
They only do it in therapy.
Hi, son. How are you?
All right, you can talk to him through me.
Yeah, okay. So we got to take a break. We do this feature called the Boner of the Day. It's
Sean
and our friend Sean will introduce them.
Coming up.
And I'll just give you a little preview of the boner candidates that are coming up.
All right.
Boner candidate number 1, mandatory vagina inspection. Boner candidate number 2, Isla Vista shootings. I blame the gays.
Oh.
And boner candidate number 3, bad people go into radio.
Boner of the day, big boy news, and innuendo, all coming up in about 300 seconds.